Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dr. Paul Dyer. Welcome to another conversation with me. Bridges Life presents Dr. Paul Talks. Hey, I have some comments and questions and thoughts that has been asked of me recently, so I figure I'd just share them with you. The question was, how do you intake a vision without emotional state? So here's is I think someone was trying to ask you, how do I look at something without emotions? You really can't do that. You really can't look at something without an emotional state. But what we can understand is where our emotional state comes from. I'm a science guy. I love science. I love physics. I love talking about wave particle forms. I love talking about the double slit experiment. I love talking about how protons and electrons, how they activate. I love how they talk about, the fractal world and plasma and how it comes through the universe. I love talking about the different molecules and structures. And the reason why I love doing that and studying it for fun and pleasure, and because that type of studying for me, it doesn't always answer the question, but it helps open up to more of a field of understanding, right? So when I look at things as far as something emotional, right, there are other things that are the problematic and possibilities. There are things that are problematic, and then there's things that are possibilities, and they can interact, and they can be a catalyst. They can be what you call create a structure, and they can create an atomic structure. An atomic structure on a molecular field has always been interacting with each other, even on a separate field, right? So it doesn't always have to be in one type of cage system. So you have to understand that there's things that are always acting into one type of atmosphere that's happening in another type of field. And yes, they have what you call a combined energy force. That's why when we get into wave vibrations and understanding, this is all part of that emotional state. But before we get into the science part, and that's why I say it's to me, I look at things through a vision of science. Don't look to always just explain something, but look to understand something. If you look to understand it, explanations will come. But if you look into the how, that's a whole different atmosphere of how you're looking at things. Things are, we're sometimes we often try to see results. What's the result? How do we get the result? How do we get the result? I think this is why so many cities to this day, or so many communities to this day, are still struggling with the same things they struggled with for the last 60 years. How do we get the crime rate down? How do we get homelessness? How do we get economic development? How do we get certain people out of economic depression? How do we get Black people to learn how to look into their mental health, physical health, spiritual health, and they're still struggling with they against me, those people against me, we are against ourselves, we're fighting ourselves, Black on crime. It's all these different things, and yet we have not looked at through the science, the eyes of science, the vision. I call it science vision. The reason why I say it's science vision, because there are what you call there are factors, there are exponents, there are factors, right? And then there's, hold on for a second, a little bit of a mix up too. So we have what you call, this is the part two of the science vision. So the one thing that we have to, when we look at something through science vision eyes, we take the time to pull it apart. And yes, we understand that, like I said, there's X factors and there's exponents to it and there's catalysts to it. And yet we have to understand that what's the wave particle function of it? What I mean by what's the wave particle function of it? Because there's things that are happening that are in an energetic field. There's still a causation, not just because it's a cause, but there's causation, right? So once you put those things into your science vision, you can then lay it out, and you can rewrite the formula. You cannot just make up a formula that works for you, because that's not science. So many people have science that just works into the benefit of them. So the data, statistics works in their favor. To look at something through the vision of science is patience. not just explanations, but understanding. There's patience. And then there's more questions. And then there's, what am I looking for, or how am I looking? You'll get two different answers, and you may be going down the same path. What am I looking for, or how am I looking? Me personally, I like to ask myself, how am I looking? How am I looking? What is my vision eyes trying to do? Am I looking through an ego vision? Am I looking for a solution base where it fits my purpose? How am I looking? Who am I? An understanding of how am I looking? Because that sometimes will actually placate or produce the result you're getting. So many people look in anger, they get anger. So many people look in differences, so they're going to have differences. How am I looking? So I hope you just take the time just a little bit to look through what I call science vision. Play it out, but understand how are you looking and not what are you looking for. I hope this helps you, and we'll talk again later on what you call Dr. Paul Talks. Always join my other shows of You Be the Judge or Mental Health Mondays. Be kind, compassionate, share, love, like. Thank you.